Hi, everybody, and welcome to 5 in 15, a webinar series from Charleston, Orwig, where usually we give you 5 tips to use in strategic marketing and communications across the food system, but we're switching it up in these times. We're having a series of 5 thought leaders in food and agriculture join us. 15-minute format because we know you're busy and have a lot to do, so we'll try to get to a lot of information. We are lucky today because our guest is Tim Metcalf. We all experience grocery going to the grocery store. Maybe some of you are suppliers. Tim is on the inside running a 100-year-old and more regional, powerful, dearly loved chain of grocery stores here in the Wisconsin area. And so, Tim, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us here.
Mark, it's great to be here. Look forward to our chat.
Okay, and Tim, I realize we just caught you going into Memorial Day weekend when it's sunny in the middle of you, as you reminded me of a global pandemic. So all the more reason to thank you. And we're going to jump right into something that I've quoted to a number of people since you and I first talked, and that's your philosophy of operating right now with a motto. I guess you'd call it a for right now. Can you tell us about that, how it's helping you with your business and how you're using that to steer Metcalf's market?
Yeah, right from the beginning, we knew that there'd be a constant level of change. We were monitoring China and Italy and what was happening in Washington State, and we could see things changing in those marketplaces, and we knew there was going to be constant change in our organization. So early on, we adopted the model of for right now, and really what that is signifying to our employees. We didn't really have that customer facing, it was really more employee facing, is that, this is the information that we have, the best information that's available today. And for right now, we are going to wear gloves, or we are going to sanitize our carts, or we are going to put masks on, but that direction could change. And so we were really working with our staff and our organization early on that, this is fluid. And what was interesting about it is most organizations, ours, we're used to change, but not such rapid change. And that was probably the thing that was through this pandemic, and even as of today, it's really, I think, important that you prepare your organization for rapid change. Even when we get out of this, like, what is the grocery business going to be like, the new normal? And one of the things I think we have to continue to be prepared for is continued rapid change.
Disruption, yeah. Now, and by the way, I didn't even introduce myself. We were rushing to get on. I'm Mark Gale from CEO. Not that matters, because Tim, you're the star of the show today. Now, I know Wisconsin has been in the news nationally and even globally, because I've heard some things from our clients. They're like, do you live near that county? So as we opened up, there was a lot of controversy last week in Wisconsin about the opening. Has the opening caused you, the quote unquote opening of the state, caused you to operate any differently, even in the last few days?
No, not really. We probably, we were kind of ahead of the curve when it first started. Again, we were kind of monitoring what was going on in Italy and China, and early on we could tell that there was really only 3 things that were going to be essential, and that was grocery stores, hospitals, and pharmacies. So we took the tack right from the beginning, is that we will be and we are essential workers. So we worked with our staff right out of the chute and said, okay guys, you are like doctors and nurses, so washing your hands, social distancing, do all the things you would do like a doctor. So we did that, and we continue to do that. So even with the recent changes by the Supreme Court, our focus really is first and foremost the protection and the safety of our essential workers. And then if we protect them, that protects our customers. And then we do everything we can to protect them. And then after that, it's protecting the community. So it's a three-level approach. But on top of that approach is we can't really do anything. It's kind of like, you know, being in an airplane, you put your mask on first. And that's kind of what we've done. So even with the change with the Supreme Court, we still have in place, like our deli cases are not open for Memorial Day. It's something maybe we should be doing because people are going to want that, but we're concerned with the congregation and being able to maintain our goals of social distancing. So we're kind of phasing back in and following the guidelines that were set in the Wisconsin Forward Plan.
Okay.
So, but that'll continue to change, you know, as we move forward. This, you know, I think the phase 1 is going to start probably next week. So we're starting to look at what changes we will make to start, you know, coming back to some type of normalcy in phase 1.
Right. Now, I know you've obviously, to be around for more than 100 years, Metcalf's for many generations. I believe you're the 4th generation. Is that correct? And so you've had to think forward, but a couple of those things I know that I've heard that you said you've done. One is you worked with a health consultant early
Yes.
on, and then you've been employing some artificial intelligence as well to try to keep distances and population in the store. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I hadn't heard really of others
Yeah.
larger than you doing those things.
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did is we hired an infectious disease consultant so that we were guided by science and you know what's really going on with this disease and how it affects our employees and how we should be thinking about it for the community and our customers. So that was one of the best things that we did, and we still consult with him on a weekly or daily basis with decisions that we're making, you know, regarding employees, you know, positive tests and that type of stuff, which we haven't had here at Metcalf's, but we're prepared for, you know, should that come our way. The other thing that we did is to maintain our social distancing plan, we started moving toward looking at our occupancy early on, and we made a decision to go to 50%, and then we made a decision to go to 25%, and then we went to 16% recently. And we used an app to count people coming in forth inside, but then we were looking to see if we could find some technology out there, and we found a company in Milwaukee called Scanalytics, and they installed a mat that people walk over and it counts people. So we installed that in 2 stores. And now we're actually going a level above that, and we found another company that we think has a little more accuracy in terms of count, and it does it by thermal imaging, and then it counts your people coming in and out, and then we can use AI, you know, with our registered data to help us make decisions on when to open different areas of our store up, like we need more cashiers or more baggers, and this new system that we're going to put in will give us more information so we can make sure that we never have queuing in our check lines and that type of stuff. So.
Okay, so you can see actually a sensor where people are clustering perhaps in the store and monitor them. Yeah. Okay, you bring up an interesting thing. Probably many people saw there was an incident well publicized in a Costco, I think on the East Coast yesterday, regarding distancing and customers and, you know, wearing masks or not, and some of those things. We've seen quite a bit of that. How has this been we know what it's like for us as shoppers going into your store or stores like yours. How has it been from the inside dealing with customers like us? I mean, are we cooperative? Are we grumpy? Are we a big pain for you guys, or are we supportive?
Yeah,
from your side.
Yeah, I would say from our perspective, we've done a lot of external communication on Facebook in terms of what we're doing. And as we're implementing new things, like we're requesting customers to wear masks, we're informing them that our staff is going to begin to wear masks and gloves and so on. So we've really done a lot of outreach, transparency of the things that we're doing, installing one-way aisles, putting stickers on our floor regarding social distancing, announcements overhead. We did those things and then we announced it publicly. We have a person that stands in our vestibule that cleans carts and welcomes everybody coming in. We never went to a mandate that customers had to wear masks.
Okay.
And we know some retailers that have done that, and we did see incidents like in New York where there were, incidents with customers, not pleased with that type of policy. So we didn't go that route, but we did go to the route of talking to our local health officials, saying that, if they're ever, if they're thinking of doing that, we would be supportive of that, because our goal, is the same goal I think of all of ours, is to, slow the spread and protect our essential workers the best we can. So we didn't have any incidents, and I think our customers, like when it comes to one-way aisles and that, we're very, very supportive on everything we asked them to do.
Well, that's great to hear. And honestly, I mean, we work with a lot of the media, but I start seeing the same clips over and over and over again. So I don't think that's everywhere. I think those clips are, pretty heavily populated. The same thing. A lot of people have a lot of common sense.
Even with limits, from the get-go, from the very first part of this, the customers were very supportive of, limits on toilet paper, limits on house cleaning items. We just recently had limits on meat, and then just last week we removed those limits.
Okay.
We put them on originally because we thought there could be an issue, so it was like trying to be proactive, and we found that the consumer wasn't going to hoard meat and wasn't interested in that, so we took them off right away, even though the supply in meat is difficult right now, but the demand is staying really steady. So we're really pleased with how customers have interacted with this and us.
Okay, so you're leading me right to one of my next questions then, is that from the inside, what does the supply chain look like? The meat shortage, you answered that in part already. A question, is that easing up? And then yesterday and this morning, I saw some things about how those same orders probably are going to apply to packing. We have a client in California, for instance, that they do tomato paste and diced tomatoes. And so what has that been like? Have you seen other spot shortages? Is it more difficult? And I know one of your things is you really try to source locally and you kind of have concentric circles going out. What has the supply chain experience on the inside? Because we don't all get to see that.
Well, first I'd say I want to shout out to everybody that's in the food, distribution, production business. This has really been unprecedented. It's been like, for a while there, it was like Christmas Eve for like 14 days in a row. And for the warehouses, transportation, the manufacturing, the grocers, our stackers, to keep up with that, it was really remarkable. Going fast forward to today is, the supply of meat right now is good. And as long as prices have come up, so it's kind of slowing the demand. What we're seeing throughout the store is there is quite a bit of out of stocks, and what's happened is manufacturers have really focused in on their key core items. And just an example might be Campbell's soup. We're probably 50% out of stock of Campbell's soup, but we have, cream of mushroom, chicken noodle. We have the absolute best sellers, but the fringe items are not in stock. And what we're hearing is that manufacturers are just focusing in on their core and getting that to market. And then as they're able to produce, they'll fill those things. But right now, an example with the meat industry, with social distancing, all the meat packing plants are running at about 50% capacity. They used to work shoulder to shoulder, and now there's 3 to 4 feet in between each cutter. And just that alone has made production go to about 50%, and that's probably going to stay that way for a while. So there's a lot of changes in a lot of different industries that it has caused a disruption, but not to a point where we're really having serious issues. The consumer just might not be able to get that variety that they're absolutely used to love, and we'll move to what, you know, the rest of us love the most.
Yeah, well, people like you have trained us to get, to expect to get whatever we wanted, in the middle of a blizzard. I want my blueberries. So, yeah,
Especially
that's
Metcalf's,
it,
like you mentioned, local is, you know, we have 3,500 local items that are produced throughout Wisconsin. Many of them are produced right within the Madison or Wauwatosa area. One of the beauties in this pandemic is we could not get national brands of, let's say, eggs, but I had local eggs. I had local meat. I had local lamb. I had local bakery. So, you know, supporting local, especially for a retailer like me, was really beneficial in this pandemic.
yeah. So not just conceptual, but practical.
Yeah.
So Tim, this is really fascinating. We're going to run out of time. We might have to switch to like 5 and 25 or 5 and 15. And for those listeners, let us know if we should do that. But so permanent changes. You said the new normal. I've been saying it's going to be the new abnormal because it's not going to be like it was. What sort of, this is an impossible question, but you have a perspective we don't have. What do you see as some of the fundamental changes that will be happening? For us, I think we're going to have a lot more remote working. For example, our office is going to be different because of this, because, for obvious reasons. What are some of those that you can see where you go, oh, actually we can do this, or that is going to change? Can you give us a couple of those by chance?
Well, yeah, I would say, first of all, for grocers in general, e-commerce, it hasn't been a overly adopted concept. Amazon took off, but it didn't really come to the grocery industry in full force. I think that's going to be a huge change, that people have gone there. It's been a good experience, and there's going to be a portion that stay there. I think there's concern with customers on interactions of touching things. Like, we've gone to completely wrapped produce. That's a foreign concept, to have your produce wrapped, and it's against our internal goals as a company to not use single-use plastic. But customers have adapted to that, and they want that because they don't want someone else touching their produce. I think you're going to see self-checkouts where you check your own items out instead of having a cashier touch them and a bagger touch them. So I think that people are going to adapt to those things much more. I think the plexiglass in grocery stores is going to stay up. I think social distancing is here for a while, and I don't know when it comes to masks and gloves, but I do believe that, at least for a retailer, it used to be price, cleanliness, variety, and those were the attributes of the company. One of those things now high on a customer's list is safety. They're going to go where they feel the safest, and I think that's a competitive advantage, and something that you want to talk to your customers about and make sure that you're following through.
Yeah, really interesting concept. So not just food safety, but personal safety is now becoming part of shopping, which is something we never would have thought about 60 or 90 days ago. So
yeah.
Well, Tim, thank you so much. I would urge everyone to go to your Facebook page, to look at your social media. Clearly, aside from what you've told us today, you can see why you're so dearly loved in the communities that you serve. Appreciate your service, and appreciate your help in keeping the food system open. So, and thanks for talking with us today, when I know you have about 79 things you could be doing instead of it. So talking to us. So that's it for today. I'm Mark Gale from CEO 5 and 15. Thanks for joining us. Next time going to be really interesting. We're going to take a dive inside one of America's really big dairies. So we're going to take a trip down further into the supply chain to see what's happening with that industry. Tim, thank you. Hope you have a lot of good sales and good weather for the weekend. Appreciate it.
And happy Memorial Day to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.